I get it when a friend asks whether a laptop can actually handle the games you love without turning into a paperweight. You want to give them something honest, not just a list of specs. You've probably already spent an hour scrolling through endless reviews, wondering if the hype matches the heat, the fan noise, the battery life, and if you'll end up paying for a machine that feels more like a business workstation than a gaming rig. I was in the same spot last month, trying to pick a laptop that could run my favorite titles at 1080p while still being decent for work spreadsheets and video calls. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Acer Aspire 3 Premium Business Laptop lands in a weird middle ground. It's marketed as a business machine, but the hardware an AMD Ryzen 7 7730U, 32GB of RAM, and a full terabyte SSD looks like it could double as a modest gaming notebook. The real question is whether the design choices behind the Aspire 3 let it stay cool enough for long sessions, keep the fans quiet enough for a night and gaming marathon, and still give you enough juice to get through a day without hunting for a power outlet. Let's start with the performance side. The 7730U is a user-race processor, which means it's built for efficiency rather than raw power. In practice, it handles titles like Fortnite or Valorant at medium settings without dropping frames, and you can push Elden Ring to low-medium at 1080p if you're willing to turn down the shadows and texture quality. The 32GB of RAM is overkill for most games, but it shines when you're multitasking, say, streaming on Twitch while the game runs in the background and you have Chrome tabs open for research. The 1TB SSD loads worlds instantly, so you won't be staring at loading screens that make you want to toss the laptop out the window. Heat is where the Aspire 3 starts showing its business laptop DNA. Because the chassis is a thin, metal military-grade shell, the cooling solution is modest, a single fan that pulls air through the side vents. During a 2-hour Apex Legends session, the temperature settled in the low 90 SF range. That's warm but not uncomfortable, and the fan stayed at a hum that's audible but not distracting. If you plan on marathon sessions of 45 hours with graphics maxed out, you'll notice the fan ramping up and a slight throttling after the first couple of hours. For most casual gamers who play a few hours a day, it's a reasonable trade-off for the slimmer profile and lower weight. Battery life is another practical concern. The Aspire 3 packs a 45Wh cell, which, on paper, sounds modest. In real-world use, I got about 5 hours of mixed work and play emails, a spreadsheet, a YouTube tutorial, then a quick Rocket League match. Once you hit a demanding game, the battery drops to roughly 2 hours before you start hunting for a charger. If you're the type who needs to game on a train or in a coffee shop without plugging in, you might be better off with a laptop that has a larger battery or a dedicated power bank option. The 15.6-inch FHD display is a decent middle ground for both productivity and gaming. The panel hits 19201080 with decent color accuracy for office work, and the brightness is around 250 nits, enough for indoor use but a bit washed out under direct sunlight. For gaming, the 60Hz refresh rate isn't the fastest, but the response time feels quick enough that fast-paced shooters don't feel laggy. One thing to note, the screen has a matte coating, which helps reduce glare during long study sessions, but it also slightly dulls the vibrancy of game textures compared to glossy panels you'd find on higher-end gaming laptops. Keyboard feel matters a lot when you're grinding through a raid or typing a report. The Aspire 3's backlit keyboard is comfortable enough for extended typing. The keys have a medium travel, low-profile design that's more akin to a laptop you'd use at the office than a mechanical-style gaming board. The backlight is a single-zone white, which is useful in dim rooms, but you won't get the customizable RGB that many gaming laptops flaunt. If you're after that flashy aesthetic, this isn't it, but the keyboard does stay relatively cool even after an hour of intense gaming. Port selection is solid for a machine that tries to be a jack-of-all-trades. You get 2 USB-A ports, a USB-C that supports data and charging, HDMI 2.0 for an external monitor, and an Ethernet jack handy if you need a stable connection for competitive play. Wi-Fi 6 is a nice inclusion, giving you lower latency on modern routers, which can actually make a difference in fast-paced shooters where every millisecond counts. Now, who should actually buy this laptop? If you're a student or a professional who needs a reliable machine for spreadsheets,